Hello and welcome to Basics of Combat Part 4, Attacking. In this video we will examine the attack action, critical hits and misses, and the different options that can be used with the attack action. The attack action is probably the most commonly used combat action in the game. Every turn a character can use their action to attack their enemy. This requires an attack roll to be made and compared against the target's armor class, and this can be either a melee attack or a ranged attack. A character's bonus for melee attacks is their strength ability modifier plus their proficiency bonus, assuming that they are proficient with the weapon they're using. And the standard bonus for ranged attacks is going to be the character's dexterity modifier plus their proficiency bonus. A couple exceptions to this are weapons with the finesse property like daggers and scimitars. These weapons are melee weapons, but attackers may choose to use either their dexterity modifier or their strength modifier for their attack bonus. And thrown weapons may attack at range, but use whatever ability modifier that character would normally use when making a melee attack with the same weapon. So for example, a thrown spear uses the attacker's strength modifier, and when throwing a dagger, a finesse weapon, the attacker can choose to use either their strength or dexterity modifier. Ranged attacks are further modified by the weapon's range and distance to the target. Ranged weapons typically have a parenthetical notation that lists their effective range, such as 80/320. The first number before the slash is the number of feet an attacker can target without penalty, and the second number is the maximum range that the weapon can fire while suffering disadvantage to their attack roll. If the range is listed as a single number with no slash, then that is the weapon's maximum range, but there is no disadvantage applied to the attack roll. If the attack roll's total is equal to or greater than the target's armor class, then the attack hits and damage for that weapon is rolled. When rolling damage, you add the ability modifier used for the attack to the damage. For example, if you hit with a melee weapon, then you add your strength modifier to the damage. And if you hit with a ranged or finesse weapon, then you add your dexterity modifier to the damage roll. Note that you only add the ability modifier, you do not add your proficiency bonus to the damage roll, you only add proficiency to the attack roll. If the number shown on the die for an attack roll, ignoring any bonuses, is a 1 or a 20, then there are some special consequences for that attack. When the number on the die shows 1, also known as a natural 1, the attack automatically misses regardless of any attack bonuses or whatever the target's armor class might be. This is commonly referred to as a fumble or a critical miss. When the attacker rolls a natural 20, then the attack automatically hits regardless of any penalties or the target's armor class, and also scores a critical hit. On a critical hit, all damage dice are rolled twice and added together, and then any flat damage bonuses are added to that total. For example, a rogue who is wielding a dagger lunges out from hiding and scores a critical hit against their enemy. They have a dexterity modifier of +3, and therefore a normal dagger attack is going to inflict 1d4 + 3 damage. Since this rogue was attacking from hiding, they also get to add an extra 1d6 sneak attack damage. So under normal circumstances, the damage for that attack would be 1d4 + 1d6 + 3. But since this was a critical hit, all dice are rolled twice. Therefore, the damage dealt here is a whopping 2d4 + 2d6 + 3. The dice are doubled and added together, but the flat bonus from the ability modifier is still only included once. And it may be worth mentioning that critical hits and critical misses only apply to attack rolls. Skills and ability checks are not automatically successful on a natural 20, and they're not automatically failures on a natural 1. There are a few ways to use your attack action that go beyond simply stabbing someone or shooting a bow. Extra attacks is a feature that applies to many monsters and some characters. When a creature has the extra attacks feature, they may make 2 attacks on their turn as their action. The character does not sacrifice any movement or need to spend their bonus action to do this. Also, the character is allowed to move between the 2 attacks and also target 2 different creatures. You can also use your attack action to grapple your opponent. The target of this attack may not be more than 1 size category larger than you. You must have at least 1 free hand, and if you are capable of making multiple attacks, grappling counts as one of them. Instead of an attack roll, you make a strength athletics check, contested by the target's choice of either their own strength athletics or dexterity acrobatics. If you succeed, your target suffers the grappled condition. While grappled, their speed score becomes 0 and ignores any bonuses to speed. Grappling prevents an enemy from moving, but has no other effects, such as granting advantage to attacks against it. When you move while grappling, your speed is halved as long as you carry the grappled target with you, unless the grappled creature is at least 2 size categories smaller than you. And the victim of the grapple may use their action on their turn to try and escape. The escape attempt is the victim's choice of strength athletics or dexterity acrobatics, contested by your strength athletics. If they succeed on the check, they break free from your hold and remove the grappled condition. The grappled condition can also be removed by any effect that would move the grappled target away from the creature holding it. For example, targeting the grappled creature with a Thunderwave spell. Another option is shoving a creature. By succeeding at a strength athletics check against a target's choice of either strength athletics or dexterity acrobatics, you can either knock a creature down, making them prone, or shove them back 5 feet. Note that if you are able to make multiple attacks, shoving a target counts as one of them. Another optional rule from the Dungeon Master's Guide allows characters to take disadvantage on their strength athletics check if they wish to shove the target to one side as opposed to pushing them away from them. You can also use 2-weapon fighting. When you make a melee attack with a light weapon, such as a club, dagger, or short sword, and wield another light melee weapon in your other hand, you can spend your bonus action to attack with a second weapon. The attack bonus for the second attack is calculated as normal, but you do not get to add your ability modifier to the damage unless that ability modifier is a negative number, in which case you still take a penalty to the damage. In addition to those, there are 2 more from the Dungeon Master's Guide that are optional rules, and it is completely up to each DM to decide if they will allow these in their game. The first is disarming. With this rule, characters can make a weapon attack against an enemy to knock something out of their hands. The attacker makes an attack roll contested by the target's choice of either strength athletics or dexterity acrobatics. The attacker has disadvantage on this roll if the target is holding the item with both hands, and the defender has advantage to their roll if they are a size category larger than the attacker, and they suffer disadvantage to their roll if they are at least 1 size category smaller. On a success, the defender suffers no damage or any other effects, but drops the targeted item. And if you're looking to give a boost to melee combat in your games, or to lock combatants down and restrict movement, the DM might want to consider this last action option, which is Mark. A mark can be applied as part of a normal melee attack. If that attack hits, it deals damage and other effects as usual, but also applies a mark to the target. If the target provokes an opportunity attack before the start of the attacker's next turn, the attacker can make their opportunity attack against the marked opponent and gains advantage to that roll. Only the character who applied the mark can benefit from this, not their teammates, and only if an opportunity attack is provoked before the start of that attacker's next turn. Doing so does not use the attacker's reaction, but they are still limited to only one opportunity attack per round. I really don't see a downside to applying marks with every melee attack, so I think this option is more for those DMs who want to beef up melee combat in their game relative to ranged combat than considering it as a rule for just all general games. In this video, we discussed the attack action in D&D. When making an attack, characters receive a bonus to their roll equal to their strength modifier for melee attacks or their dexterity modifier for ranged attacks. In addition, they also add their proficiency bonus if they are proficient with the weapon that they are attacking with. If attacking with a finesse weapon, the attacker can choose whether to use their strength or dexterity modifier. And if attacking with a thrown weapon, they use whatever ability modifier they would use to make a melee attack with that same weapon. Therefore, when throwing a finesse weapon like a dagger, the attacker can choose either strength or dexterity. Ranged attacks suffer disadvantage when attacking a target at long range. This is noted on the weapons table with a parenthetical like 30 feet/120 feet. A ranged weapon can attack a target at a distance up to the first number without penalty and up to the second number with disadvantage, and cannot attack a target beyond the second number. If the attack roll's total is equal to or greater than the target's armor class, the attack hits and damage for the weapon is rolled. When rolling damage, you add the ability modifier used for the attack to the damage. For example, if you hit with a melee or thrown weapon, you add your strength modifier to the damage, and if you hit with a ranged or finesse weapon, you add your dexterity modifier to the damage. If the attack roll is a natural 1, the attack automatically misses, and if the attack roll is a natural 20, it scores a critical hit. On a critical hit, all damage dice, including dice granted by class features such as sneak attack, are rolled twice and added together. Any static damage bonuses, such as a strength or dexterity modifier, are added to that total only once. Static damage bonuses are not doubled. There are also a few ways to use an attack action beyond just the standard attack. The first is the extra attacks feature. A monster or character with extra attacks may use their action each turn to attack twice. Both attacks are made without any extra penalty, and the character is allowed to move between the attacks and select different targets for each attack. The attack action may be used to grapple an opponent. To do so, they make a strength athletics check, contested by the target's choice of athletics or acrobatics. If the attacker wins, the target receives the grappled condition. An attack action may also be used to shove a target. As with grappling, this is a strength athletics check contested by the target's choice of either dexterity, acrobatics, or strength athletics. If successful, the attacker can choose to either knock the target prone or move that target back 5 feet. An optional rule in the Dungeon Master's Guide also allows the target to be moved 5 feet to either side instead of shoving them back 5 feet by the attacker taking disadvantage on their athletics check. Two-weapon fighting is also allowed using a bonus action. If wielding a light melee weapon in each hand, a character can use their attack action to attack with one of them as usual, and then spend their bonus action to attack with the other. The attack roll for the second attack is made as usual, but does not receive a damage bonus from strength or dexterity. In addition to those universal rules, there are also 2 optional attack rules from the Dungeon Master's Guide. It is up to each DM to decide if they wish to allow these in their game. The first is disarming. To disarm an opponent, a character makes an attack roll as normal, but instead of comparing it to the target's armor class, the attack is contested by the target's choice of either strength athletics or dexterity acrobatics. The attacker has disadvantage if the target is holding their weapon with both hands, and the defender has advantage on their roll if they are larger than the attacker and disadvantage if they are smaller. And marking is another optional action that can be applied to targets with a melee attack. characters receive advantage to opportunity attacks made against enemies that they marked that round, and also reactions are not spent to make an opportunity attack against a marked opponent. However, you are still limited to only one opportunity attack per round. And before we wrap this up, I want to give a quick plug to one of my fellow YouTubers out there who has a great channel that's an excellent complement to this one. Lunch Break Heroes provides all of the DMing, game management, and campaign advice you need to be successful. I highly recommend you give him a sub and check out all of his videos, but in particular, I found his Lost Mine of Phandelver campaign guide to be especially valuable. His advice on how to tweak encounters and plot points in that adventure is dead on, and anyone planning to DM the 5th edition basic set or Curse of Strahd, which he has another set of campaign advice videos for, definitely needs to check this channel out. With that, we'll bring this video to a close. If you found this video helpful, please give us a like, and don't forget to click that subscribe button and the bell so you never miss out on our future videos. Leave us a comment letting us know what topics you'd like to see covered in our future videos, and we can always be reached through our Twitter and Facebook pages too. If you'd like to use some of the maps that we feature in our videos in your own games, you can find them at Maps of Mastery. A link to that store can be found in the description. Thanks for watching, take care, and we'll see you soon with more basics for your favorite tabletop games.